When you take a look at how much an employee gets paid, one of the things you can take a look at is your revenue per employee ratio and figure out what type of numbers you need inside of your business. So what is a revenue to employee ratio and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan, coming to you live from Consulting Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales, opportunities, growth, ratios, profitability. A fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming live from Sacramento. When you take a look at the revenue to employee ratio, I'm gonna give you some numbers, but they may not be your numbers. Okay, so you're gonna have to figure out whatever it is in your industry, your product, your service, your genre. So let's say in Scottco, which is my company, I've got an employee that makes $100,000 a year. In some industries, in some services, there's a generic formula that says whatever that employee makes per year, you multiply it times a magic number. In this case, it's going to be 3. And that's how much revenue that person needs to bring into the business. So if everybody in my company makes $100,000, that means that on average with this example exactly, that's $300,000. So that what I could do is based upon department or the entire company is flip to revenue per employee and see like, okay, are we right on money or are we off on money? So the way that you could, once again, you're going to have to figure out the numbers for your industry, product, or service. You could go through the product of everybody and say, how much do they make? Multiply it by your magic number, not mine. I'm going to use 3 and see where does it add up. Are we right on head count? Do we have enough people? Are we where we should be? If you're part of an affinity group, like sometimes they have this information for you. The best practices of a company, this is where they're going to be. So be aware, there are people who have this information. And, there's this thing called AI. AI can help you with this. It doesn't mean the answer is going to be right. So you might want to run it through 2 machines, 2 LLMs, and figure out where you're going. But one of the things to take a look at, and it may or may not make sense, is let's say that you're going to hire Bob. And Bob makes $150,000 a year, but his position brings in $200,000 of revenue. You would need to justify that gap. Like, why? Like, if it was a 3 times ratio, that guy should be bringing in $450,000 of revenue. What does he bring to the table that's so unique that justifies that? And so, like, sometimes when somebody says, hey, I want to work for you, but I want this much money, you can quickly take that ratio in your head and flip those numbers and go, hey, like, this just doesn't make sense. I can't pay that much. Or I'm going to give you a caveat. Let's say that this person's freaking exceptional. They are going to bring the thunder. They are going to do it. They're going to help you out immensely. Then you may look at it and say, hey, I'm going to have to ignore my revenue to employee ratio of what this person could get paid. But if you're sitting down with the management team and you're like, hey, we're overboard. We got way too many people. Sometimes managers, downlines, like, how do we know? Well, you figure out your revenue to employee, right? And then you figure out your revenue to employee ratio. And these numbers are going to vary. They're going to be different. They're going to be different dependent upon department. They're going to be different depending upon position. And you just got to know that it's going to take a little bit of time to put this together. So if you got a bunch of employees and they're making $22, $23 an hour, it's going to be pretty easy. If you've got a management team, you're going to have to kind of figure out like, hey, how do I figure out what my management team is going to do? How do we justify this and how do we right size it? This isn't meant to be fast until you get it down. This is meant to be like, hey, we're going to slow walk this to get used to the conversation and figure out our numbers and get everything dialed in. It may take you a couple of weeks, may take you a month. It's not something that hey, I just watched this video. I'm going to fix this right now. Can create some problems for you. Like, you should ask questions. Hey, do we know what our revenue per employee is? Pretty easy. Do we know what our revenue per employee ratio is? Like, that's going to take you some time through HR to build that roster out. And what you do is you go through and you add up all the revenue to employee ratio. And let's say that you're under, and we're going to use a magic number of 300,000 for your production side, that you're averaging $250,000. Let's say that you're over and you're averaging 400,000. It may tell you what to do. I mean, these are numbers you can look at every month or every quarter. And you can start saying, hey, are we being efficient? Are we being inefficient with our money? And I will share with you, this is a pretty easy once it's done, formula to put in place. It does help. And I will share with you this, that you can ask some investors, you can ask private equity what their revenue to employee ratio they want to see, or their revenue to employee setup is. And they'll tell you, because they want to buy a good company. And it's a signal to them from the business gods, right? I'm pointing to the sky from the business gods that you're trying to do the right thing. You got one of three things to do from here. Just one of three. Find the subscribe button, click on it. Every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.